Hello and welcome to another round of Rebellion in about an hour. Here we've got Tony playing the role of the Empire and your favorite neighborhood Wombat playing the role of the terrorist Rebel Alliance. So for once I will be playing the bad guys here. It's kind of a rare bird to see here. Honestly, I think a lot of the people on the Discord prefer playing the Rebel Alliance. I actually prefer playing Empire. A little bit of, just a change of pace here, though, for everybody. All right, so let's take a look and see what's going on here. So Tony's doing looks like a pretty standard deployment. He's trying to figure out where to put the Death Star. You'll see we've got a subjugated Coruscant and a loyal Mustafar. So in order to prevent all capital ships from being built, we'd have to get a little tricky here. So we have to figure out whether or not we're going to just give up, just give up an air carrier probably is most likely what we're going to do. So what are some reasonable places we can deploy here? You'll see here I'm starting with the Star Destroyer elimination card for an objective point. And there's no easy Star Destroyer to pick off. Even if there was, I'm not a huge fan of putting the Rebel fleet on a suicide mission on turn one. I like to try to give some opportunities to survive. So we could put the transport and the troops. We could put them near Megiddo. But I actually kind of like this Death Star move here. It's going to give an opportunity to avoid a capture. Hey, and check that out. We got Temporary Alliance. That's always a fun card. I always hate that card when it's played against me, so I will definitely be playing it in Utapau round one. And everybody's least favorite Rebel card, Start the Evacuation. I think that card did not do what it intended to do, is my guess, but who knows from a design standpoint. So anyway, let's go back to the Rebel fleet in Cato. The idea here is I can drop units in Coruscant and then prevent Coruscant from becoming a Star Destroyer production. Mon Cal is already loyal, so we know a single rule by fear won't flip Mon Cal to loyal, so we're probably just going to be looking at assault carriers. And we could potentially sabotage Mustafar as well if there's no Tarkin or Tag on a mission. So kind of mediocre starting cards. Got a Rescue and Cassian's card, which lets you draw one or two cards from the deck. If I draw that early, I always like to keep it around until Cassian shows up. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Probably not a great idea if I don't have a lot of good missions here. So we're keeping one leader to move, and we got Vader on a mission. So Vader on a mission means it could be Imperial Propaganda. In fact, if you check the chat, you can see Tony and I joking about that. He's complaining a little bit about the Rebel start. Or the Imperial starting position. I said, well, maybe you'll grab Imperial Propaganda. So how do you minimize Imperial Propaganda? Well, it's tough if you dropped Mothma on Utapau like I did. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But here comes Riken with the transport coming in. Now, which card to play? If you play the transport card, I mean, he probably could play Death Star Laser here and ensure the transport be eliminated, or the TIE Fighter card. But playing the transport card basically gives me some chances to block here. I think if you're the Empire, I think you really want to eliminate retreating, because the last thing you want is that transport sitting around with the starfighters and some sort of an alliance built there. And then anyway, just take your opportunity to eliminate rebels if you have a chance. So because the transport didn't die here, I'll play the escape card, which will let me save the transport. I'm actually going to leave the troops there, though. I probably could afford to take one, but a little bit too risky. So I'll just leave all the troops and save the transport. That also cancels his 501st card. So get kind of a 2-for-1 special there. Save the transport and cancel a good combat round card. He's going to eliminate 2. I'm going to eliminate 1, and then I have my version of the 501st card. Hold them back or off or whatever. All right, so we've got 2 things on Coruscant. So now he cannot build Star Destroyers on Coruscant. He won't be able to reach Utapau, most likely, unless Vader's on Tarkin's card or something like that. Imperials are going to subjugate Mon Cal. So anyway, back to Imperial Propaganda. What do? Well, you try to drop the only place he can move things to Propaganda is Seleucid. So you have to try to get somebody there, if possible, to try to block the Propaganda. But he can just wait me out here because I've committed Mothma. That's one of the downsides to Mothma's card. All right, the fact that he's moving the Emperor there maybe means it's not Propaganda. Just going to go ahead and cover Kashyyyk. Seems like a fine move there. I'm going to get potentially a Naboo and an Utapau build. Now, if he had moved to Seleucid, I think I would try to infiltrate in Seleucid, even though I might not make it. But because he did not, if it's Propaganda, there's really nothing I can do at this point. So we'll do an infiltrate. If he's on a capture, you want to try to put your unit in a spot that can be freed fairly easily if it is a capture. So by capturing in Megiddo, I could potentially rescue with a hit and run. I mean, I have a rescue card, so just try to put him in a good spot. And here's Tag going to Seleucid. That's not a good sign. And keeping an aircraft carrier back to check those remote regions here. For those of you who didn't notice what base I picked Tatooine. I like to pick bases. I feel like I grade myself as not a fantastic Rebel player. So, I mean, I get the basics, but I often miss little things. And you're actually going to see some examples of that here. And we got Propaganda. So picking Tatooine, it prevents me from getting the base stumbled on. One of my major weak points as a Rebel player is I tend to lash out from the base probably earlier than I need to. All right, we got a hidden fleet, and we got covert operations, base deck, obviously. I like both of those cards. And I'll draft Chirrut. Chirrut's card is super flexible for scoring objectives and and freeing up systems or leaders or that are captured or whatever. So, for example, I could, the fleet doesn't have a great shot at anything right now, but if there were, say, an assault carrier in Kashyyyk, I could fly an X-Wing in with Chirrut, blow up the assault carrier, use the X-Wing card to kill a couple of TIE fighters. Could be a nice combo there. But instead, just kind of running base missions here. Don't have anything super fun to do. Don't have Cassian, so I don't want to use his card yet. But I'm not in a position where I have to discard either. And then my objectives are nothing I'm going to be scoring immediately. So I can just kind of afford to play it slow. When I play the Rebels, and I think this is good advice for new players, but again, honestly, I'm not the best Rebel player out there, so take this with a grain of salt. If I'm playing the Rebels, I like to try to save my my good mission cards to score objectives with. And then if I'm don't have anything fancy to do, then I like to just fish for objectives. So we've got cut supply lines and threaten the core. Now, I could score threaten the core if he doesn't attack my fleet and they stay around another day and the troops don't die by a super laser in Corellia. But that's a lot of ifs. So I'll just take cut supply lines, even though I'm not particularly close to scoring it right now. If Corellia had been loyal, that would be blockaded, and I'd feel a little bit better about supply lines. But it's kind of got to take what you got. You can see I also kept Leia back to block potentially whatever mission the Emperor's on, or move the fleet. I don't have any great spots to move the fleet. Again, I could fly the X-Wing into the Death Star and take out some TIE fighters, but I don't love that, and a single Y-Wing's not going to take out a Star Destroyer, not without Akbar's card. So we'll just see what's going on. So Soontir's going to cover Ord. Makes sense. That'll be a nice sabotage target next time. And I'll go ahead and sabotage Selakami here. That seems to be an easy sabotage. Doesn't give too much away. Prevents an ATST. And I'll play a Rapid. Honestly, I probably should have played the Rapid before the sabotage to try to bait out Vader. Vader could have blocked Chirrut if he wanted to. So I think playing, if you're not in a position where you have to play something, you want to try to play passive missions and force the Imperials to go first. All right, so Vader doesn't like that fleet floating around, so Death Star is going to fly out. I need to decide whether or not to commit Leia here. I'm not going to do that because the Kashyyyk fleet is moving south too, so no point in trying to save anything here and then get a leader captured. He's got the Star Destroyer card. I don't have a transport card to block anymore, so we'll just leave those rebels there. Probably play the X-Wing card to remove as many TIE fighters as possible. Pretty sure that's what I play here. That's also kind of a nice passive card to play. It does a lot of damage and better than just throwing away a card. Got crit too. And no heals for Vader. Just going to try to roll. Rolling too many dice here, but there we go. Nope, no heals. All right, so got 3 TIE fighters in exchange for 3 starfighters. I mean, it's not great. Should I have left the Y-Wing in the base? Probably. But keeping the Y-Wing on the initial fleet deployment kind of scared off assault carriers and got them to commit Star Destroyers. So I've got to build Alliance. I'll go ahead and do it in Utapau. I don't have any other great targets here. And we do want to discourage him from moving to Tatooine at some point. Okay, Tarkin's going to promote somebody. Probably pull Krennic's Finest out of there. Oh, nope, Director Krennic. Krennic, Yularen, Krennic's Finest, those are all good ones to pull out with promotion. And then we have a deployment here. So this is why we kept Leia back. We got a 3-on-2, but we only need to tie. And he's going to try for Geonosis, which this would be bad if he got it, because then he's going to have an assault carrier right next to our base. And I fail the block. All right, so far, not so good. Imperial Propaganda worked. Got a deployment right next to Utapau and the base. I've got 2 combat objectives and not very much production, so far not so good. I'm going to have to make that up with leaders here. I do have supply lines. I have 1 sabotaged property at the moment. Sabotage system, I should say. And then I've got Endor and Dagobah in my rapids here. So this is something that it took me a while to realize the benefit of too. So for new players, if you have extra leader actions and you can afford to rapid, sometimes it'll make sense to keep track of what cards are at the bottom of the deck here. We'll get to that later on this game, in fact. All right, I got Chewie and Han as options. I already have a rescue in my hand, so I'll pass on the Millennium Falcon, and I need a 3-fist leader anyway in case I draw Demolition. So I'll go ahead and take Chewie. Chewie's nice because he can just negate a capture if you keep him back. So you got to be thoughtful about whether or not you're going to put Chewie on missions or not, or just keep him as a defensive posture sort of guy. Now, an Imperial player knows which card I have right now. Tony does for sure, but not if you're new, you might not, but your two options for recruiting Chewbacca are either the Millennium Falcon or the Wookiee Guardian card, which cancels a strength mission. So because I don't have the Falcon on Chewie, we know he's on the cancel mission or the cancel action card. So the Empire's got to be thoughtful about what missions they're attempting and how they want to pull that off. It doesn't mean you shouldn't attempt missions that require strength, because you need to pull that card out at some point here. So anyway, pretty kind of standard build stuff. I did pull support of the Mon Cal. So that's pretty nice. I should be in pretty good shape for getting that accessed off, because most likely he moves out of Mon Cal or won't bother blocking it. But I edited this out on accident. Now you can see Tarkin played his card in Mon Cal to put a Star Destroyer on the queue. So now I have a chance of failing support of the Mon Cal. So really, I mean, that's a super important card. Better to put, if you don't have Akbar, probably better to put Mothma on it just to give you the best chance of getting. Now Leia's 2-1 on Tarkin, but if you've watched my other videos, you know I don't roll particularly well during missions. So anyway, what to do here? We could open with support of the Mon Cal, or we could try to stack some items on there. Now, what I should probably do here is I should probably try to stack a Sabotage on top of Mon Cal to give me some additional chances to roll. Even though I don't particularly want to Sabotage Mon Cal, because he could just move out of there next turn when I need to try to score supply lines, but more important to get that Mon Cal on the queue. Now that I've sabotaged, Tag's going to basically defer his turn, play R&D, because I don't have another Sabotage. I could also infiltrate on top of Mon Cal and give me an extra dice to roll there too. So that would be the other strong move. Now that would kind of tip my hand for what I have, but then if Vader's on capture, he could capture Dodonna, get extra cards out there. So it's a little bit of a back and forth here. All right, easy choice here. I've got Rebel Cells and Time for Peace, so I will get rid of Time for Peace because I don't have anything on the queue, basically, and grab Rebel Cell. Now, I can be thoughtful about where I build an alliance for Rebel Cell here. I just need to not... And that's probably another good tip. You got a lot to keep track of as Rebels. If you can do a good job of keeping track of all the things you have to do, you will be more successful. Okay. So you'll note I did not infiltrate in... All right, well, we're trying Mon Cal now. I should have infiltrated where Tarkin is, but we'll see how this goes. Got 2 on 1. I roll a 1. Tarkin also rolls a 1. Okay, so I do not get my Mon Cal. So, because I didn't sabotage, because I didn't infiltrate, and because I took a low percentage roll at Mon Cal, now I have trashed that card as well. So, not such a hot start here. Okay, Emperor moving down to Bespin. So that's actually a pretty good move for me. So we know he doesn't have the Endor card, so I can try to bluff that a little bit if I want. But he's basically saying, hey, I think there's a reasonable chance you're on Endor. So I'm going to go to Bespin with the Emperor. You've already sabotaged. If I am on Endor, that fleet's not holding up to that Star Destroyer. Or even my ground's going to have a tough time there. Okay, and he's going to draw out Chewbacca too, so that's not great. Now Vader could capture. Mothma's going to build an alliance in Naboo. That is a terrible idea because, if you remember, what objective do I have at the top of my deck? I have Rebel Cell. I should have put that in Ryloth. Vader is now going to capture Leia, or attempt to. And again, I could have had Chirrut there, but nope, I don't. So now I've gotten Leia captured. Again, if I had played Chirrut and Dodonna there, I would have likely got a Mon-Cal on a queue, likely prevented the capture, because that's about all he's got. If he had drawn out Chewbacca somewhere else and tried to capture Chewie there, I could have just used Wookiee Guardian. So lots of good examples of things not to do. And honestly, this is just because I'm rushing. I'm frustrated at this point, not doing a great job of thinking things through. So I got Dantooine and I've got Kessel here. So in the bottom 8, we have some good cards. We have Endor, we have Kessel, we have Dantooine, Dagobah. We have some places we can rapid to if we make it to the end of the game. Now, how quickly we can get back to those cards depends on how many probes the Empire draws. So if he starts drawing, we might want to encourage him to start drawing some probes and not block them. So something to think about. All right, I have cut supply lines, decisive victory, and rebel assault to kill a Star Destroyer. Have no troops in the base really to execute any of that, no transport capacity. And I just drew rebel cell and am kicking myself in the head right now because I put the rebel cell in Naboo. I don't have anywhere else to put it. I could put it in Ryloth, but what's the problem with Naboo? Well, he's got an assault carrier right next to it. Now, thankfully, I drew hit and run. So I could hit and run that assault carrier, potentially. I'm also discarding a hidden fleet here because I didn't play any missions last round. I don't know. I should have played. Well, maybe I don't know. I couldn't play covert ops easily, but it probably would have been better to do covert ops rather than just throw away a hidden fleet. I'm now taking Jyn Erso with probably the worst action card in the game because I need 3 intel. Why not take Luke and then transfer him to a Jedi and then use covert ops at that point? Because I make bad life decisions. I've got a pretty mediocre build here. 2 starfighters, 2 troops. But I do have my 1 Mon-Cal and my 1 Nebulon coming out. So thankfully, Temporary Alliance has given me a fighting chance here. So where to deploy? Need to get some stuff in the base. Definitely get the capital ships in the base. And I need to solve the problem of the assault carrier in Utapau. And I'm going to do that by dropping a Y-Wing in Naboo, with the idea being I can open up with bombing run, take out the assault carrier, and protect the rebel cell for a turn. Now, a little bit of situational awareness here. You've got to think about what action cards the Imperials have, because action cards are the way that Imperials can take actions before rebel missions. And Soontir's card is a great one. So I've completely forgotten about Soontir's card here. So what's going to happen here in the future, Soontir's going to play his card and eliminate that Y-Wing, and then that's going to compromise the rebel cell. So super critical to think about things like that. Now, I could also have Chirrut on a hit and run here, but for whatever reason, I'm overconfident in the Y-Wing, not thinking about things, and just going to run missions instead. Again, it's tough, man. Rebels is tough. I know I complain a lot about Rebels having too many options, but when you're learning to play the Rebels, you've really got to keep in mind, what options the Empire has in front of them and whether or not steps that you're taking what's the way to think about it? Steps that you're taking will actually go through, or if there's a way that Empire can circumvent it. So he's going to just eliminate the Y-Wing with a card. He can't afford to let that Y-Wing survive with some unlucky Imperial rolls, so it's a great use of Soontir's card. I know it seems kind of crazy spending an action card to eliminate a Y-Wing, but what he's actually doing is using an action card to eliminate an objective, which is always worth it, in my opinion. All right, so what do we do now? So we've got Jen on covert. We've got, we don't really have any torture cards that I'm worried about. Well, maybe now that we've got Krennic or we've got Tag on Krennic's Finest together, that could be a interdictor. It could be like Carbon Freeze. We're just going to play it safe, and we're just going to rescue Leia. Again, had I done hit and run, I would have spent the hit and run on the assault carrier. Even if it's blocked, it would hold it there in place and at least let me get one objective off with Cell. So we'll just rescue Leia and put Chirrut away. All right. So Empire's got some options here. They've got to deal with Rebel Cell. So my guess is that they move there first, which is exactly what's going on. We have the Vanguard here that needs to take out a lot of metal without a whole lot of help here. We have this card we can use, but we're not actually going to use it yet because it doesn't do me a whole lot of good to just eliminate the ATST here. So we'll just try to block a hit. The hope being here that if he blocks a hit and survives and does a damage, I could do a single damage to the AT-AT. Then next round, maybe I can use Take It Down. I mean, that's kind of a long shot, but I'd rather do that than try to take down the ATST and risk Vader rolling a heal like he does right here. So I have a chance to survive, but score a direct hit. Nope, it does work. All right, so the AT-AT is damaged. That hit was blocked. And then now we have an opportunity to use Take It Down. But I chicken out and just want to do the damage on the ATST instead, and then I'll overkill it with Take It Down. At least I think that's what I'll do. All right, they're flipping the combat. Oh, right, I get no card next round. That's why I moved it to the ATST. All right, and now Vanguard's dead and ATST's healed. All right. So there goes the Rebel Cell. So we have discarded a hidden fleet. We have played support of the Moncal that was blocked, and we infiltrated to a Rebel Cell, deployed it in a spot adjacent to an Imperial assault carrier, and then did not score any objectives with it. So far, so good. All right, going to kill this Star Destroyer with Demolition and an assault carrier. Now, he's got a bunch left on the queue still. He's got a Star Destroyer next to the base. He's got an Interdictor on turn 1 of the queue. So, what can we do here? We have to start scoring some objectives pretty quickly. And we don't have a lot of objectives to get there. So we got to try to buy as much time as possible. I'll stick Mothma in Kessel with the hopes that the Star Destroyer comes down to Nal Hutta and moves away from the base. That's exactly what happens, which I like. And then I can sabotage Bothui as well and not have it look like it's obviously an attempt to sabotage an area near the base. Gotta be a little bit careful as rebels to not necessarily do all your actions next to the base. I guess that's what I'm thinking here with Toydaria. I'm not sure why I didn't sabotage Bothui, to tell you the truth. Just kind of, I guess, pretending the base is in Kessel. I mean, we know the Kessel card's at the bottom of the probe deck, so I guess take some efforts for that. So Tarkin was on his mission. That strips the Kessel loyalty. So we'll just kind of go for it here. Go for the block. That's Bit of a hopeless attempt here, but I didn't have much else for Dodonna to do. Does not work because Tarkin has +2. Then I'll run a covert, stacking the leaders together just in case Krennic's on a capture, which I doubt he is. And we've got popular support and Death Star plans. So we'll go ahead and take popular support, even though loyalty is not looking too good right now. We've got another Death Star plans coming up, and I'm not holding on to plan the assault, so no probe droid initiative. All right, he can draw a couple probes for that. That's okay. I like holding on to probe droid initiative until I have Ozzel or have drawn all my leaders. I look at it the same way as Cassian's card, try to get the most bang for my buck. All right, Emperor is checking Endor. Again, if you remember from previous Rapids, he does not have that probe. I do not score popular support here because I do not have 6 loyalty. So I did score cut supply lines, though, so that's good. And I have no one left behind, which is a nice objective. So now I have a couple of easier objectives to score. No one left behind and popular support, although I'm not holding on to a rescue, which is not ideal. And now I have the opportunity to get Cassian, which I like that too. Even though I picked Jyn previously, I'm holding on to Cassian's card, and then that also lets me check under the radar here. Under the radar is nice because it's basically a free rapid, and then you can, in addition to know what probes they don't have, you can just look at 4 more cards. So now we basically know the bottom 12 of the deck. And you notice there was Felucia, Utapau, Ryloth, which is what I end up taking, and also Bespin. So there's still a fair number of cards that we know about that he has not explored. One is Dantooine. We know Felucia's an option. We know Ryloth, obviously. We know Dagobah. So those are places he's likely going to check here fairly soon. And so I have to be... You can see here we're on turn 5, heading into turn 6, and I still only have 1 objective down. So I've got to get some scores here. We're not quite on a timer yet, but we're very close. So, we can't, so for example, you can't score popular support and no one left behind at the same time, right? You have to score those in 2 different rounds. So we have a nice mix of combat objectives and regular objectives, plus we're holding on to Jin's card. So if we play our excuse me, if we play our cards right, no pun intended, we could pull an objective like cut supply lines back and then score it again. Taking a drink here. Drinking Reed's All Natural Ginger Beer. Quite nice. This video is not sponsored by Reed's, but if you like ginger beer, there you have it. All right, finally going to get Cassian on this mission here. So we'll get to draw a couple of cards. Hopefully can pull some useful ones. I'd really like a Public Uprising. I think that would be a good way to get a combat objective, take out a Star Destroyer maybe. Might need a rescue for No One Left Behind. You can see I also pulled Plant False Leads. It's a really good one as well. It's a nice, under the radar is nice, but Plant False Leads is nice as well. They both kind of serve the same purpose. All right, so Chirrut's going to hit and run a little bit too late, take out that assault carrier in Naboo. Now, if I can just get the entire fleet to, and here we go, heading to Ryloth. Okay, this could be good too. Keep in mind Ryloth is my under the radar card. And we know, obviously, Tatooine's not covered, Kessel's not covered, and Dantooine is not covered. So we're going to block Bothawi and possibly give away the base location. But I'm hoping that this goes over as a, it's a build round. He would get an ATST out of that. And then here we go. The Emperor is using a loyalty card in Kessel. Now, I need to try to block this. Unfortunately, I don't have Leia back. I only have Dodonna. The idea is, if I block it, then he has to move something to Kessel. And now that I don't block it, he is free to move back to Tatooine. Or to Bothaway to get into position for Tatooine. So at this point, we're getting in some trouble here for sure. He's got another interdictor queued up. You can see he's got tag on a double leader mission over there. So most likely that's another interdictor. He's got Piet on a mission. That's going to be a probe related mission. And then you saw objectives there. So we'll go ahead and go with this one. See if we can get more combat objectives done. I'm, again, not doing a great job of anything. Plus, decisive victory is not looking so good now either with those Star Destroyers likely heading to Bothaway. So when you're coming into an impending base attack, you need to think about which battle you can win. Remember, you don't need to win both of them. You just need to win ground or space. And if he has an interdictor and a Star Destroyer out in Bothaway at the end of this turn, that's not super great odds for a Moncal and a Corvette and a Nebulon, especially if I want anything left over at the end of it. But we'll see. All right, Piet playing his card on Tatooine. I don't have a subversion, so I have to tell him that is the base. And now things are looking gross. Where can I win decisive victory here, though? I can win it in Ryloth. So, there's a play here, and it's going to be to try to score a decisive victory in Ryloth. If I can do that, eliminate Tarkin, and then prepare a rapid mobilization to head to Ryloth using the under the radar card, I can probably last an extra turn. So that's the kind of generic plan I'm thinking right now in my head. So now going through these cards with Cassian, I have to try to find missions that are going to support that plan. Okay, base defenses, prepare for battle, hit and run. I got Wedge's card, but there's no Star Destroyers on the queue. There's also contingency plan, which could be good for scoring loyalties, because I've got the 6 loyalty on there. However, I can get to 6 loyalty myself with Build Alliance as long as I don't run into... I've already had Tarkin's card and Imperial Propaganda. So we'll go with things that are going to try to help me survive the ground combat. We'll get base defenses for Shield Bunker, and we'll get hit and run. And then here comes Vader with ground forces and air forces up to Bothaway. All right. Got an Incite Rebellion. We can use that to clear off Geonosis. So right now he cannot build on Bothaway because of the sabotage. If this rebellion goes through, he will not be able to build on Geonosis. And then if I attack out with Chewbacca to where Tarkin is, he will not be able to build on Ryloth either. So we're gonna try to put up a good fight here. So we'll flip the combat. He'll do a damage. I do have a reroll. Need to try to survive this best I can. Roll a heal. Roll 2 heals. Yeah, gotta kill this trooper. That's step 1. And then, reroll. He points out that I have a reroll on here. Roll 3 heals. All right. So that guy's alive. And then play the no heal card. This will probably be one of my last attacks outside of Ryloth on the ground. I'm not going to need that probably because I'll play Confrontation. Okay, so he rolls first. I kill him. I got 3 troops left. Nope, I got... yeah, I got... There we go. Okay, I got 3 troops left on Geonosis. So far, so good. And what's left here?
Yeah, all I can think about is chips and salsa.
All right, we'll go ahead and use Jin's card to grab cut supply lines because I know I can score that, and that seems to be the only objective I've got a handle on at the moment. I've got 3 covered. I've got a, I don't know. We'll go for it instead of taking major victory off the top because I have enough combat objectives to try to score already. All right. Here we are. Chewie is going to, yeah, you can see hit and run right there on 2 of the surviving troopers I have, brings me down to 1. So at that point, y'all should be thinking about why would he bother hit and running there at that particular location, and think about action cards and whose he has out right now. So while we have this next combat, you can think about what the motivation there is from Soontir. All right, we are going for, we're going to wipe this aircraft carrier, or this assault carrier here is the goal. Now, did I need to bring the fighters? Debatable. It depends on what I would want to do with them from Tatooine next round. I do have the option of retreating if I wanted to set that up a little bit differently, but since I'm planning on moving to Ryloth, I'm just going to hope more of my guys survive than what would be needed otherwise. All right, 2 damage on the assault carrier. 3 damage on the assault carrier. Actually, we think about this for a little bit to see if I want to wipe out the TIE fighter, but it's super important because I have to score decisive victory, and I don't want anybody retreating that I don't let him roll a heal with his 1 red dice. So better to just risk the extra damage from the TIE fighter and take out both here. Okay, no hits, which is nice. Oh, although, I guess, come to think of it, I played the no heal card, so I didn't actually need to do that. Anyway, I don't know. We're just gonna keep living this life we're living here right now. Maybe I put a troop on the board with the U-Wing card. Alright, so, gonna try to confront Tarkin here. Let's see if I can not screw this up at least. Got 3, need 2 hits. 1, 2. Alright. Tarkin is toast. Got that TIE fighter left to deal with. Have lots of useful cards left. Best one is probably just to cancel whatever card he's going to play. And then we're going to roll to get a hit here. And then he's going to roll back to see if he can wipe out that U-Wing. Alright, TIE Fighter's toast. That's the roll I needed last time. And U-Wing is alive. Okay. So, what do we do here now that we're in Ryloth? Oh yeah, here's the card that I asked you guys to think about. Got a shield bunker and a troop in Geonosis now. So hit and run wiped out 2 of those troopers. And I have 1 trooper left. Now, he's got, if you remember from his combat cards here, I need to figure out which card to throw away. It doesn't really matter because I've got to prepare for battle. Oh no, I don't, because I passed on that. So yeah, I got to figure out which one I want to cycle through. So we'll do a damage. He does the 5-0 first. So there's only a shield bunker left, but there's not a dice roll on my end. So the combat's over immediately. So he has re-subjugated Geonosis. Now, since there was no capture, I do score no one left behind, and I also scored decisive victory from the Ryloth victory. So I got 2 objective points there, and I have cut supply lines, and I have the 6 loyalty card. So I can score those 2 as well. If I can figure out how to get a Star Destroyer taken down, or a major victory, which I know is coming up next, I actually have a shot to win this. As long as I don't screw up my timing here. So what to build and where and why. So we can build in RotE and then open up with an attack from RotE and Tatooine. Now, what I'm considering doing here is attacking out from RotE, keeping Tatooine hidden, and trying to wipe the ground forces in Bothui, which will prevent the Imperials from triggering the base. Because there's if we pull that off, right, or at bare minimum, coming in from Geonosis with only a minimal amount of forces. Now you'll notice there were no ACs deployed on Geonosis. I think they deployed in Naboo instead to sort of set up another round of battles here. So we have to be patient here. We have under the radar for Ryloth, so we need to run a rapid. And we need to make sure we're moving after probe droid cards can be pulled. Because if we don't, and we rush and we do too many blocks, we might be in a position where we have to put the Ryloth card on top of the deck. And then if we do that, then they could probe draw it away, and then we could fail our under the radar. All right. So let's think positive here. That's kind of where I'm going with this. So even when lots of things go down for the rebels and things don't go your way, there's oftentimes at least possibilities of getting close to winning the game, or at least making it interesting. So got prepare for battle out. That'll give us the extra action movement. It'll also give us our cards back. We have Tag and Krennic's Finest on Interdictor. And got some deployment on hold from the Empire. So we are going to open up with that attack on Bothui here. Now the downside of this, excuse the helicopter overhead, downside of this is Chirrut's likely going to be captured. Now we couldn't wait for a prepared battle, because if we did that we would lose the initiative. They could trigger the base. We don't want to deal with that. So we're just going to move in and wipe the ATST. Probably should have kept the speeder card last turn, but did not. Also should probably be trying to block hits here. Also not doing that. Blocking hits to prevent Chirrut from being enveloped. But want to keep that Moncal card just in case. So we're going to do that. Alright, Chirrut is captured. He did kill the ATST. That was primarily what we were hoping to do. Now I just need to not whiff with these 2 attack cards, or with these 2 attack dice here. Okay, he's going to block a hit. And we're going to hope for a crit. And there we go. Nothing. Okay. Yep, that's right. Chirrut's captured. So rerolls didn't matter anyway. And got another round here, so gonna be able to pull off, hold them back to just eliminate that guy and keep one of mine alive. Oh, and he canceled it. All right, there's the crit, and we lose one. All right, so Chirrut did his job, sort of. Unfortunately, I do not have seize control. That'd be nice to score there. But I did prevent him from triggering the base. So we've got one more round in us still, if we can just figure out how to score enough objectives. And that's not Interdictor. That is Planetary Conquest, and Chewie is sitting on the sidelines on Sabotage. So again, another example of things not to do as a rebel. So if Planetary Conquest can ruin your day, and you have Chewbacca with Wookiee Guardian, don't put him on Sabotage. Because, of course. Alright. So Leia's going to try to block. And if you excuse me, I gotta let this Labrador out. That's right. Set of twins, Lady Wombat and the Labrador, comprise the Wombat household. Dog's name is Finn, which is actually FN2187 after Finn from the movies. So, but we just like to call him Finn. So, in case you were wondering if this was a Star Wars household, it apparently is. All right. AT-AT got tow cabled. Now, thankfully, Tony didn't have a perfect setup here for the Planetary Conquest. So I took out the AT-AT, took out the AT-ST. And I guess hindsight, it was good that I had used tow cables and then cycled it back just barely. All right, so we survived that. Now, he did trigger the base, so I'm no longer going to be able to deploy in Tatooine. I think that's okay. The game plan here is to rapid. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4 damage. That's going to be enough to wipe everything except for one speeder. So I have one speeder back. Thankfully, no hit and run, or no hunt them down, and no assault carrier in Geonosis. All these are good things. I can go ahead and prepare for battle. If you prepare for battle, you want to do it in a spot that they would not be likely to block in. That's going to be pretty good. I would love to have another speeder in my new base, but alas, it will not be meant to be. And Vader's going to move a giant pile of things into RotE. So bringing the Death Star from Mustafar, bringing the Interdictor from Naboo. It's got a couple of AT-ATs, AT-ST. Looks tough. And we're going to heist. Pull out Major Victory from our objectives here. That's the one I infiltrated, or saw a while ago with Infiltrate, and then put cut supply lines on top of it. So this round we'll be scoring another cut supply lines if everything works out right. And maybe that's why I put Chewie on Sabotage. I don't know, but make sure I could score that. This round I'll score cut supply lines. Next round I'll try to score Major Victory and the 6 loyalty, popular support. And then maybe I've got a path to victory there. All right. Got to make sure this alliance and this sabotage go through. I mean, there's no R&D, so I mean, there's nothing really to worry about. I can kind of pick my spots on sabotage. Geonosis probably makes the most sense. Now, the thing about Geonosis here is I sort of want him to deploy in Geonosis, because if he does, I could score major victory there, but instead I just don't take that chance. All right, so he's covering Felucia, he's covered Dantooine, he's covered Ilum. The only spot he has not covered so far is Dagobah. So I have an option to potentially get to Dagobah if I needed to. Now there's Dagobah's in the bottom 12. It's in the 9, 10th, and 11th, 12th card up from the top. So there's a chance I could pull it here. But I also want to, under the radar, to Ryloth to give me a chance for scoring major victory. So I'm going to go ahead and put Ryloth there. And then he doesn't have any probe missions left. He's got Piet. Piet doesn't have anywhere really to move to. So I'll score cut supply lines. And then I'll rapid. Collect my leaders. Need to rapid. There we go, Wombat. So Dagobah should be in this mix here. It's one of the first ones I picked. No. RotE, Ryloth, Ilum, Felucia. Means we've already gone past Dagobah. Alright. So be it. Ryloth it is. It's where we need to go anyway. Grab my objective. It's establish outposts, which requires 5 different spots with rebels in there. I have Corellia and Ryloth and Tatooine. So that's not looking super good. Plus I've got loyalty to score here too. So what do we need to do? We need to put us in positions of being able to do things. So I've got a hidden fleet. I can relocate my fleet to an area where I could score major victory at next round. I've got base defenses to try to bolster up my group a little bit. I've got plant false leads. Maybe I can pull a nice plant false leads target. I've got strike team that I could clear out an area for planting false leads. So for example, if I pulled plant false leads in Toydaria, I could hit and run and clear that off. If I pulled it in Cato Nemoidia, I guess I couldn't because he's got TIE fighters there. If he's got a spot where he doesn't have a TIE fighter that I pull, I can lead the strike team there. Now, lead the strike team is tricky because if you do something like rapid first, then your people are stuck in the base. So again, lesson number 412 of things not to do when you're a rebel is that. So, do I send a leader here? I don't. I don't really need these troops at all. Although, probably moving them to Ryloth and then hidden fleeting away would have been the better move. Keep the speeder. But, again, I'm not really thinking this through too much. Alright, he's going to cancel my card. That seems a fine use of the interdictor card. He's going to play another one to block hits. Okay. And then he gets all his cards back. And my guys are dead. I kill one striker, I believe. Nope, kill nothing. And we've got tow cables here. This is my last speeder. I might as well use tow cables. Try to wipe out a AT-AT. Poor Chirrut. I gotta watch out for carbon freeze because we've got Vader and Finest on a mission, or we've got Finest and Tag on a mission. We also have Vader on a mission. So carbon freeze is a possibility. Again, always think about things that can ruin your day. Carbon freezing being one of them. And then, got the AT-AT. And then how to prevent that. How to prevent it would be Wookiee Guardian. So make sure, if you're worried about carbon freeze, to keep the Wookiee back. But instead, Wookiee's on a mission. Oh, Lord. I'm going to need to make a big bulletin board of things to think about here. All right. Giant fleet outside Tatooine, right next to the new base. Got to try to throw them off a little bit here. Time to plant some false leads. See if I can get a good spot. Plant false leads, hit and run. And then hidden fleet. That's the combination. Strike team not going to do too much since I've got a guy in the base. Alright. Got to get some loyalty here. Now, why Corellia? Well, mostly because I need to make sure I win that. I've got +2 with Leia, and he's got the Emperor back. If I try it in Kessel and I lose, then even if I try it in Kessel to clear Kessel up, I don't have the 6. So really need the 6 loyalty here, and it gets blocked. Okay, next. Okay, he is going to draw them out, but I only have 1 unit in the base. He knows the base is in Ryloth, but because it's not triggered, he only gets the hidden unit out of the base, which is the X-Wing. So X-Wing's toast here. He didn't really have a way to trigger the base since Planetary's already been used, and he doesn't have display of power, so can't trigger the base in Ryloth. So he's just got to go ahead and pull out that X-Wing, and I will plant false leads. And now let's see how we do here. So I'm hoping for something that I can hit and run. That's the goal. Kashyyyk, Ord, Dathomir, Geonosis. Okay, 3 of those are, 1 is eligible right now with Dathomir, although it is right next to Dantooine. Kashyyyk is hit and runnable, and so is Ord. Now, Kashyyyk does not have an assault carrier next to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a lot to think about. I'm going to put 3 on the top, give me some options, and 1 on the bottom, being Geonosis. So he's got to think about, he's only got 1 leader action left. So does he move to Ord? Does he move to Dathomir? What does he do? So I can also clean off Kashyyyk with a hit and run. So I'll have some options here. All right, and he's going to make me put a mission on the top of my deck. Not great. I roll 2. Okay, so when we do this, we basically shuffle and then grab 1 at random. He grabs establish outposts. All right, so I'll have that instead of what I think is probably another Death Star plans at this point. I already know what I need to score, so as long as he didn't grab popular support, that was going to be the one that was going to cause me the most issues. I'm going to hit and run here. This is too early to do this. I got kind of excited, but should be fine. I want to hit and run in Kashyyyk, which gives me a valid place to hidden fleet to, and then reestablish my base and give me a shot to win here. I think a pretty legitimate shot. So clearing off these two will allow me to do that. After a little bit of thinking, Tony decides that his best option is try to actually block that with Soontir. Now, I probably could have just waited him out on that. But I'll give him a chance. It's 3 on 2. Chewie can roll. He'll roll 2. Soontir also rolls 2. Or no, Chewie rolls 1 and Soontir rolls... Oh no, we both roll 2. Yep. Okay, so no Kashyyyk. Should have waited on that. Lesson number 425. Now I also have Dathomir I can move to. So that's a thing. Now, if you remember right, did I put anybody on Hidden Fleet here? I think Mothma's on the fleet. Okay, they're going to try to capture Chewie, and I'll Wookiee Guardian and get rid of that, finally. Okay, I have Lead the Strike Team, but I cannot use Lead the Strike Team because I've got Riken in the base, and I can't pull them off of Ryloth because I need to identify where the Rebel base space is first. So I go through that little exercise here and realize that is a lost cause in an attempt to get them over to Dathomir. I think that's what I'm thinking through right now. And then, the problem is if I move to Dathomir, then I have to rely on scoring major victory in I don't have. I guess I did have an option to score major victory in Dantooine. Now instead, I go to Dagobah with my Hidden Fleet. The reason for that is largely because I make bad decisions in my life. So if I had instead Hidden Fleeted over to Dathomir, I could have then opened up and scored major victory in Dantooine. And then my thought was I was going to move those troops over to try to survive the incoming onslaught, but I can't do that because of Riken, and I realized that pretty quickly. So just take that back in my hand. Just too bad. Sloppy. Okay. So when should I have rapided? After I did all my stuff I wanted to move. That's what I should have done. But looks like I could score popular support anyway. So I was lucky enough to have miscounted my loyalty when I tried to achieve loyalty in Corellia. Or maybe I was worried about a rule by fear or something like that. So we'll move. And move to Dathomir. It is unguarded, basically. I have my fleet in Dagobah in the other side of the galaxy. Instead of being over my base. And I have two choices on where to attack. I'm going to attack Naboo, which, if you'll notice, is better defended than Dantooine. This could have been the right spot. I don't know. I mean, in theory, if I was Empire and I thought he was going to move there, maybe I build some shield bunkers and put him on Dantooine. I don't know. I guess by that logic, he could have put him on Naboo too, maybe. And here we're going to make a number of bad selections. So the idea here is to not give him a chance to heal. Now, what do we need to do? We need to kill the assault carrier. That's number one, because if I don't kill that assault carrier, he can retreat and avoid major victory. So I must kill the assault carrier. Luckily, I rolled 2 3 hits. So So I can put all 3 damage on the assault carrier, and then he cannot heal. And instead, I damage everything equally. Again, not thinking things through. Miss with the heal. He's got 1 reroll. Miss with the heal again. So thankfully, I score major victory. And that combined with popular support from the earlier turn just pulled this out by the skin of my teeth, man. It was a brutal ending there. And I mean, Tony played a great game here. I just got lucky with those last few missions and everything. So we pulled it off in round 8, scored 4 objectives, blew the rebel cell, got Moncals blocked. What a mess. So I got a link to our Discord in the bottom, and I look forward to another video next week.